It's 20,000 years ago. The wind hits -40 degrees, snow blows sideways. Night is coming, and it's about to get colder. You have no fur, your skin is thin, your body fat is tiny, nothing like an Arctic fox, nothing like a woolly mammoth. In these conditions, an unprotected body shuts down fast, under 2 hours. First comes confusion, then your muscles stop working, then your heart slows, then it stops. This wasn't a rare storm, this was every night, for 100,000 years. So how did a hairless ape survive this? A body built for hot African plains, thriving in conditions that should have killed it in hours. Let's start with the problem. Every animal that survives extreme cold has the same tools. Thick fur, thick fat, small ears, short limbs. Look at an Arctic fox, now look at a desert fox. Same problem, two different solutions. Fur and fat. Humans have neither. We kept long legs built for running. We kept sweat glands built for heat. Take that body, drop it into Ice Age Siberia. By every rule of biology, it should fail. But it didn't. Humans didn't just survive the Ice Age. We pushed further into the cold than any primate ever has. Past the Arctic Circle, all the way to Beringia, the land bridge that led into a continent no human had ever seen. The first clue isn't a spear, it's not a fire, it's a needle. In 2008, archaeologists found bone tools in a cave in South Africa. They were 73,000 years old, built for one job, piercing hide, stitching it together. This was tens of thousands of years before humans faced deep cold. They were already building the technology that would save them. Then, around 45,000 years ago, something changed. In Siberia, in northern China. The tools got smaller, sharper, a true needle appeared. A tiny eye drilled through bone, narrow enough for thread. One found in Denisova Cave is 50,000 years old. It's so precise, it could still sew today. This wasn't decoration. A draped hide lets wind through every gap. A stitched, fitted garment doesn't, sewn tight at the wrists, tight at the ankles, tight at the neck. It traps heat like nothing else. Draped fur means you might die tonight. Tailored fur means you walk through the blizzard. Once humans could tailor clothing, nothing could stop them. But clothing alone wasn't enough, not for the harshest parts of Ice Age Europe, places with almost no wood, places where wind cuts through everything. For that, humans needed shelter, and they built it from the last thing you'd expect, the bones of the animals they hunted. In Ukraine, at a site called Mezhyrich, archaeologists found circular structures, built almost entirely from mammoth bones. Skulls stacked as a foundation, tusks arched over the doorway, jawbones locked together like bricks, the whole frame likely covered in hide. New dating places one of these homes at the coldest point of the last ice age, about 18,000 years ago. One of the harshest moments this planet has ever seen. A single mammoth weighs 6 tons. No metal, no wheels, no animals to help, just human hands. And they turned that much bone into a house that kept a family alive through the worst winters our species has ever faced. With clothing and shelter solved, something remarkable happened. Humans stopped avoiding the coldest places on Earth. They went looking for them. At a site called Yana in Siberia, archaeologists found tools far north of the Arctic Circle. Above 71 degrees latitude, the site is 32,000 years old, twice as old as any other known Arctic settlement at the time it was found. The group that lived there was tiny, maybe a few hundred people, surrounded by permafrost and endless winter. And they weren't just surviving, they were hunting mammoths on purpose, not mainly for meat, mostly for ivory and bone. Raw material for tools, for weapons, for walls. This tells us something important. By this point, humans weren't just reacting to the cold anymore. They were engineering their way through it. Clothing to trap heat, bone to build shelter, and the confidence to walk into a landscape that had never seen a human footprint before. Then there's the strangest evidence of all. It has nothing to do with staying warm, and everything to do with why we survived. At a site called Sunghir in Russia, archaeologists found graves, 34,000 years old. One man was buried in clothing covered with 3,000 carved ivory beads. 2 children nearby had more than 10,000 beads between them. Ivory spears, armbands, ornaments carved from mammoth tusk. Researchers calculate that making all those beads took over 10,000 hours. Think about that. In the middle of an ice age. when every hour mattered for food, for warmth. A community spent thousands of hours on beads to bury with their dead, including children. Children who never lived long enough to hunt or sew a single stitch. That's not survival instinct, that's something else. People pouring their limited time into each other. For no return except loyalty, except meaning. That kind of bond is what turned small, freezing groups of humans into something bigger than their bodies. None of this happened by accident. None of it happened fast. It took tens of thousands of years, generations who froze, before generations who figured it out. A needle here, a mammoth bone wall there, a bond that made strangers share their warmth. A species with no fur, no fat, no business surviving an ice age, turned itself into the only primate that could walk into the coldest places on Earth and come out the other side. Next time the wind cuts through your jacket, remember this. That jacket took 45,000 years to make.